Girivaridhari. Gopijana Vallabha Girivaridhari. Yashodanandana Vrajajana Ranjana. Yashodanandana Vrajajana Ranjana. Yamunatira Vanchari. Yamunatira Vanchari. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Jaya Gopijana Vallabha Girivaridhari. Yashodanandana Vrajajana Ranjana. Yamunatira Vanachari. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram. Nitai Go, Hari Bo, Hari Bo, Hari Bo, Nitai Go, Hari Bo, Hari Bo, Hari Bo, Nitai Go. Nitai Go, Jaya Prabhupada, 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 Srila Prabhupada, Pada, Srila Prabhupada, Prabhupada, Srila Prabhupada. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Shri Prabhupada Lilamrita ki. Hari Bol. So we are in probably 66 or something like that. Prabhupada, the chapter is called Prabhupada Invites the Hippies. Yes, it was summer 67. Prabhupada arrived in America in 65. He started Matchless Gift in 66 and in the summer. And then during winter he started San Francisco, 60, and 67 summer. He invites the hippies. It was 7 p.m. Srila Prabhupada entered the temple dressed in a saffron dhoti, an old turtleneck jersey under a cardigan sweater, and a chadar around his shoulders. Okay, anything to say about that?
He was probably cold.
Yeah, it's winter probably. Yeah. Well, can many stops like that. Huh? I'm reading right now the account of some people, devotees, who knew Prabhupada before he came to the West. So it's very touching. He got brothers, friends, families, like that, So he was not dressed like that. When he was Grihastha, Sri Prabhupada was dressed in dhoti, kurta, kadi, they said. What is kadi?
Kadi is like a cloth.
Yes, cotton cloth or cotton cloth. So Prabhupada was dressed as a Grihastha. He was dressed with dhoti and kurta. Well, at least I don't know. At least when he was always going to the temple, different Gaudiya mat. And you saw his photo. He has a big mustache.
Yes.
Full, big mustache, hairs, and he would look. That's what they say. He would look very beautiful. He was a nice man. He was more than a man, but he was a very nice man, and he was imposing. And he was like, when he would come to the temple, it was not like, he was, big person. Huh?
Present.
He was present. People could see he was an educated person. He was not small like that or sentimental. But he was very humble also. Always, they all say, individually, one after the other, he was very humble, but, he was not a little nothing either. So it's nice like that too. Okay, walking up to the dais in the rear of the room, he took his seat. So when he was in Calcutta, he was going to do some programs here and there with his godbrothers or like that. And one brahmachari explained that Prabhupada was taking him to do some programs in Calcutta. And he would ask the brahmachari, please, you sit on the asan, like that, and I sit on the floor. You do the chanting and everything, and I will do the pravachan, the speaking. But brahmachari was very shy and afraid to speak. He said, don't worry, I will do it. But you have to sit on it because you are dressed in saffron. And people, they respect saffron. They would not like me to sit, white and a saffron sitting on the floor. So he arranged things like that. Interesting also. Okay, another thing. The dais, a cushion atop of a redwood plank, 2 feet off, 30, 60, the floor, was supported between 2 redwood columns. In front of the dais stood a cloth-covered lectern with a bucket of cut flowers on either side. Covering the wall behind the dais was a typical Indian madras with Haridas' crude painting of Lord Chaitanya in Kirtan hanging against it. Srila Prabhupada picked up his kartal, wrapped the cloth straps around his 4 fingers, and looked out at his young followers sitting cross-legged on the burgundy rug. The men were bearded, and almost everyone wore long hair, beads, exotic clothing, and trinkets. I don't know what are trinkets, but So,
rings
huh?
Rings, little jewelry.
All kinds of things hanging everywhere. Okay. So, the men were bearded, huh? Everywhere, long hair, beads, exotic clothing, and trinkets. Yeah, you see the change. How Prabhupada adapted himself. He was not a hippie, obviously. He was an aristocratic person. Even when he would come to the temple, the temple is a place where you are the leader, holding on, serious, brahmachari, and you have different people, coming for shelter or for helping or this or that, not necessarily, but at least in India, at least in his times, when he would go to the temple, even himself, he was dressed very nicely, tilak, nice mustache, clean, clean clothes like that. And in the temple, everybody was like that, nice. And now, and we know, after a while in West, Prabhupada asked, okay, those who are in the temple, at least those who are responsible to maintain the standard, the sadhana, they should be shaved up, dressed, tilak, on time or everywhere like that. But, from the standard of India to the beginning in San Francisco, that was what Prabhupada, tolerated with a hopeful thinking, by Krishna's mercy, it's possible they will be trained. Let's see. But it started like that, with bearded men, long hair, everybody, beads, exotic clothing, trinkets like that. The bulbs hanging from the ceiling diffused their light through Japanese paper lanterns. Yeah, they did not have yet chandelier, Venice chandeliers, crystal, thing like that. It was a Japanese paper thing like that. That was, at this time, it was a little Japanese. And there was also Navajo God's high symbols dangled from strings. I guess Navajo, that's the name of the Red Indian tribes, and the tribute Navajo. God's eyes, there was some little things hanging everywhere. Because for these young people at this time in San Francisco, the symbol of spirituality was maybe something now starting to the east, Oriental, whatever. And from the past, some Red Indians, they were, spiritual, Actually, they had, of course, like everybody in the world. As far as I know, their spirituality was more like the universal form, worshipping the supreme universe and the forces of nature, like that, which is not bad. Prabhupada began the ringing 1, 2, 3 rhythm, and Shamsundar began pumping the harmonium. Although the harmonium was a simple instrument, a miniature piano keyboard to be played with the right hand and a bellows to be pumped with the left hand, no one in the Frederick Street storefront knew how to play it. So it became simply, it was called the drone. So it was just like that. But you can listen to the kirtan, recorded kirtan at this time, why it was but the kirtan was so much, spontaneous and heartfelt, so, instruments are accompanying. Prabhupada said even, I hope I don't, I remember, the mridanga should not cover the voice, and the kartal should be half the tune of the mridanga. Okay. And another important kirtan instrument was a two-headed mridanga from India, was meant for intricate rhythmic accompaniments, but even Mukunda could play it only very simply, matching the 1, 2, 3 of Prabhupada's kartal. Boom, 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 like Navarro. Hare Krishna. Yeah. Okay, I read also one thing yesterday, that this mridanga had been sent by one Trivikram Prabhu or Maharaj, one his god brother in India. Prabhupada had asked, it was from, I think anyway, one of his god brothers, Sannyas mat. At this time, the Gaudiya mat was exploded in different mats. So Prabhupada wrote to this Trivikram Swami, I think, anyway, to send him some mridangas, 3 mridangas. And this he answered back saying, okay, we will try to do our best. And meanwhile, Oh yes, he was a disciple of Bhakti Pragyan Keshav Maharaj, who gave sannyas to Prabhupada. So and he said also, oh, you may be now informed that His Divine Grace, Srila Bhakti Pragyan Keshav Swami, just passed away. Okay, send back the thing. But the telegram never reached Prabhupada for any reason. So Prabhupada did not receive the Mridanga. And he wrote back after a while, hey, what's going on? What about the Mridanga? And when they received it at the temple, this Trivikram Maharaj, he explained, this is how sometimes misunderstanding comes out, without reason. We received this answer back, and we were very surprised and, not happy that Prabhupada was just speaking about his Mridanga, not a word about his his sannyas guru passing away. So they felt, what is that? It's lack of, sensitivity. And later on, after I think 2 or 3 telegrams, finally Prabhupada received it. And he sent back immediately a very nice letter that he wrote of condolence, signed by himself and all his disciples for His Divine Grace Bhakti Pragyan Keshav Maharaj. And then those Prabhus, they understood that it was, not Prabhupada's fault. He just did not receive the thing on time. And he felt bad. Oh, you see, immediately I had some bad feelings toward Abhay Prabhu, who was now Swami Maharaj, Sri Prabhupada. I had some bad feelings, but, we have to be a little careful and be sure that there is no misunderstanding.
I'm just confused about one thing.
Huh?
You said he was initiated from that?
No, sannyas. He gave sannyas. Huh? Yeah. Like that, yes. Prabhupada was initiated by Srila Bhakti Siddhanta in 32, 3 maybe, something like that. And he took sannyas in, I don't know, the end of the 50s or beginning of 50? 55, yeah. Yes, just to be clear, yeah. He even said that, my godbrother Keshav Maharaj, he forced me to take sannyas. He said, actually not him. It was through him, it was my spiritual master who pushed me, because he had a few dreams, Srila Bhakti Siddhanta appearing, taking take sannyas for preaching, like that. There were other instruments on hand. A kettle drum, the pride of the temple. A kettle drum, I think it was a round thing, round tambour, yeah, bim, bang, that. And they would take it outside on the hippie hill and like that. Hare Krishna. Ayagriva's old cornet. What is a cornet? Huh?
Small trumpets.
Trumpet, clairon. Okay, all right. So when we installed Krishna Balaram here, 1976, there was a cornet. I remember the temple room completely filled. It was 1 centimeter free. We were just completely. And Prabhupada came on the stage here with Lochanananda, the American first devotee, bathing Krishna, Prabhupada bathing Balaram. Anyway, I remember there was 1 cornet above the sea of the heads of the devotees, jumping up and down, like that, there you go. And there was 1 cornet, and that was Yogeshwar Prabhu, who is still doing very nice service in New York now. Yogeshwar with his cornet. Okay? There were a few conch shells, also, and a horn Ayagriva had made by shell-aching a piece of kelp he had found on the beach. So, a horn, shell-aching, il a taillé un coquillage, il en a fait un truc, qu'il avait trouvé sur la plage. Bon. Some guests had brought their own flutes, pipes, and bongos. For now, they let the instruments remain still and clapped to Prabhupada's rhythm as he sang the evening prayers. Yeah, that was, everybody brought this whole thing for the fun, and this is okay. This is parampara. This is Lord Chaitanya's chant, dance, and be happy. And Lord Chaitanya, he would chant and dance, and everybody was taken into his chanting because of his mood, because of his loving, emotional mood of addressing God. And like when he would address God, like by chanting, it was like God was there, make it real, just just to glorify a little France, sometimes at least. There was one saint in France called Saint Jean-Marie Vianney, le curé d'Ars, in south of France in the 19th century. And he was a great preacher. It was like kilometers of people waiting queue to confess their sins to him, and he would give immediately advice to each one of them, very quick, and he would find exactly what to say. He was a very austere person, very kind, like that. And he was like that. But when he would celebrate the arti, the mass, not the mass, the mass, yeah? They say, oh, I saw a picture. He was like that. And I said, people, oh, we could see he was with somebody. He was with somebody. God was there. So Lord Chaitanya, when he was chanting, South India, everywhere, people were carried, by his chanting, because he would bring Krishna, and there was no instruments, nothing, but like that. So here, same thing. Prabhupada came, and he said, actually, I came for 1 year. I was lecturing, and nobody was really following. But then, when I started to go out under the tree in Tompkins Square Park, chanting and Hare Krishna, then everybody joined. First Brahmananda and Ayagriva dancing, and Achyutananda, and then all kinds of people, freaks, bumps, like that. So it's natural. Of course, not supposed to remain like that, because chanting Hare Krishna is not a materialistic or a material sound. It makes some effects deep on the soul. Even Lord Chaitanya, when he was chanting in the jungle, he went all the way through the tigers and deers, skins and mind, and reached to their soul, and poof, they were dancing together, the elephants, like that, and chanting Hare Krishna with him. So chanting Hare Krishna, whoever chants, this is, we may not be with God, or people may not be with God when we chant, or we will chant Hare Krishna, mind go away. But God is there, The transcendental sound vibration is Krishna by Lord Chaitanya's mercy, and he goes through the soul, and unknowingly for us, he goes to our soul and makes his way. So it's very nice process. Huh? So they were all coming like that, not knowing what's going to happen to them in a few days, few months, few lives, few lifetimes, caught by Lord Chaitanya. Prabhupada's Sanskrit hymn praise the Vaishnava spiritual masters. For each great devotee in the disciplic succession, he sang a specific prayer. First, he chanted the poetic description of the transcendental qualities of Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati. Then Gaur-Kishore Babaji, Bhaktivinoda Thakur, one after another. One prayer described Srila Bhaktisiddhanta as the deliverer of the fallen souls, and another praised Gaur-Kishore Babaji as renunciation personified, always merged in the feeling of separation and intense love for Krishna. Srila Prabhupada sang of Lord Chaitanya also, the golden complexioned Supreme Personality of Godhead, who distributed pure love for Krishna. And as he sang of Lord Krishna, the ocean of mercy, the friend of the distressed, the source of creation, Prabhupada became absorbed in the bhajan. His body trembled with ecstatic emotion. The group on the floor sat, Prabhupada, when he was singing, he was singing with emotion. My mother was going to the church, but like officially. But she told me at the end of her life, I don't go anymore because I don't feel any more emotions. I want to go to the church to feel emotions. That means to feel the presence of a person. And he said, it's dry, it's all dead, more or less. I mean, it's not bad at the beginning, but same for us. We are performing our regular devotional activities, sadhana, like this and that, and we may not feel always emotions, but at least we should always aspire for that. That makes us bona fide candidate for raga, for feelings for Krishna. That means establishing a relationship, reciprocation with Krishna, and with all the great spiritual masters and like that. So we should aspire for some emotions, not take Hare Krishna for a process which gave me freedom from everything. I will become void. No. Yes, aspire for emotions. And Krishna is waiting for that. The spiritual master Prabhupada is waiting for that. It's very nice. Yes.
If you look at the photo behind you, see how emotional Prabhupada is in that photograph there.
What is the photograph? Oh, Prabhupada here. Yes, ecstatic emotion.
So,
yeah.
Engrossed in it, you can see.
Thank you.
Singing. I always picture him singing Radha Madhav.
Yeah.
He was just every time I watch that video.
And for us now, nobody is like Prabhupada chanting, or singing. Yes, he's once a devotee or somebody show a picture to Prabhupada, he was very stern, and like that, and Prabhupada, we're not, we were troubled, not very happy. He said, I was in full ecstasy, he said. Hare Krishna. Yes. And this emotional relationship, reciprocation with Krishna for Prabhupada was not new, although he did not display it often. As he said, once he displayed emotions, and he could not keep chanting Jai Radha Madhava in front of all devotees. He stopped, and after, forgive me, I don't do that too often, very humbly. But in India also, Michael, and in India also, some devotees of his time, not before he came to the West, they witnessed, he had some very ecstatic, many of his god brothers or brahmacharis at his time in the mat, they gave testimony. Oh yeah, we remember Rabbi Babu, or when he became sannyas, Bhakti Swamiji, he was singing so nicely, very emotional. Wow, very emotional, Prabhupada chanting. Always, it was not like that, and another way of chanting, one said, it's very, not funny, but very interesting for us, we respect. That was in, I think, in Jhansi. One devotee said, I remember when he was there, and no, that was in Vrindavan, in the Radha Modar temple. Yes, he invited many personalities for Janmashtami celebration. Anyway, and one devotee said yes, and after we had a kirtan, and Swamiji was dancing in the Vrindavan ways of the people. So I wonder, what is the Vrindavan ways of people? As far as I know, it's like like that, So I was because we just saw Prabhupada dancing like that, jumping straight like that, or like that, the Swami step. But when he was in Vrindavan before being the Acharya, he was dancing. Hare Krishna. Jai Shri Prabhupada. And and the group, The group on the floor sat swaying side to side, Hare Krishna, watching him, his eyes closed in meditation, his delicate practiced fingers expertly playing the cymbals. They heard the heartfelt minor moods and tones of his voice, unlike anything they had heard before. Unlike anything they had heard before. Unlike anything we have ever heard before and forever. Prabhupada singing, the spiritual masters, Parampara, and then the Kirtan, Krishna, Kirtan, Ganana, the Six Goswamis, and Hare Krishna, Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya. Then he began the familiar mantra they had come to hear. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. And immediately they joined him. Hare Krishna. Yeah, they first respectfully, although they were all with their Navarro things and trinklets and beard and long hair and exotic clothing, they were, Prabhupada did not demand any respect, but he was commanding respect. So all of them, hippies, like that, drugs, like that, when he was thinking, eyes closed, Namaham Vishnu Padaya, Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati, and Gorky Shodat, and Six Goswamis, and Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya, and Hare Krishna. Hare. So then when came Hare Krishna, then everybody, okay, that's our. So they joined him. The horns and drums sounded, and soon all the other instruments players joined in. Guitars, the drums, the trumpet, and everything. Gradually, a few at a time, members of the audience rose to their feet and began to dance. At this time, the only dancing was a Swami step, hands up and like that, very ecstatically. Not yet wild ecstasy, but very emotional ecstasy. You saw those movies, huh? Prabhupada followers stood and began stepping from side to side as he had shown them, sometimes raising their hands in the air. Others moved as they pleased. The old devotees, dressed as a long beard like that since 1 week or 2, they knew the Swami steps, But the new guests, for one day, they could come and do all kinds of that, or anything. Others moved as they pleased, occasionally opening his eyes and glancing around. Prabhupada sat firmly, chanting, though his head and body were trembling. Yeah, as I said, Prabhupada, even in his whole life, Grihastha life, when he was a young man, when he was a Grihastha with his family, when he was, he was always a very serious person, very kind, very affectionate, very humble. But he was somebody. He was not, like that, And all his friends and contemporary and God brothers giving remembrance in this book, they, one after the other, they say the same thing. So kind and affectionate with everybody. Oh, he was so kind to me, like a father immediately. He was so affectionate. And between God brothers, they were so affectionate between them, So I wonder if it was the spiritual qualities of Prabhupada and his God brothers who made this mood of care between themselves and affection, kindness, or if it is part of the, let's say, Indian culture also, maybe, I don't know exactly, or maybe both. Yeah, but I was really touched by that, one after the other, 50 different persons giving they were interviewed by a devotee, during the 80s. And practically all of them, they were mentioning kind and affectionate and humble. That's the Hare Krishna culture, not necessarily the Vedic or Hindu but the Hare Krishna culture. It meant to develop kind, affectionate dealings between human beings and between devotees. Prabhupada was like that. After 20 minutes, many of the young dancers were limping, jumping, perspiring, as Prabhupada continued to sing, leading the dancers by the beat of his kartals. His eyes were closed, yet he controlled the entire wild congregation, playing his kartals loudly. Chanting and dancing continued, and Prabhupada approved. Yes, loud chanting, Hare Krishna mantra. Yeah, it's supposed to be loud chanting. Even Japa, Prabhupada always told us, you should chant so that you can hear the sound yourself. And better, even if your neighbor, he can hear also. It's better. Why? Probably because the mind has something else to grab, the sound. And also because this is our service. We have to serve the Maha Mantra. We serve him by pronouncing him, and we serve him by catching him and bringing it to the heart, to the ear. And we serve him by catching him from inside, bringing down to their heart. And then the sound becomes Krishna, and he's cleaning our heart. And it comes out as dancing rather than Krishna. So yes, probably for that. But also, as Haridas Thakur said, to Lord Chaitanya, who approved that, if you chant loud, all the living entities around you will be benefited. That's, not a joke. It's not a small thing. God is there in His name, and even, a bird, whatever, a worm, a tree, a plant, it's a soul. And the soul is part of Krishna. It's the eternal, blissful servant of Krishna, just covered. But the sound of his old friend, old master, coming again after millions of lifetimes, goes through to the bark of the trees and touches it. Yes, bro.
Yeah, that's a very interesting point actually, because last year we went on Harinam, but not Harinam, we went on a retreat to Kenya, and as part of the retreat we also went to the national park, and there were all sorts of animals, and there was a giraffe just by the road where we were.
Giraffe?
Giraffe,
Okay, it was a zoo?
No, it was a national park.
Oh, national park, okay.
Yeah, open zoo.
Okay.
Nairobi.
Okay.
And there was a giraffe by the road, and we were just singing the Maha Mantra, and he was just like this. He was listening, captivated. Yeah, he was. So yeah, you're right that it penetrates the heart.
Yeah.
And we were just hoping that, but not hoping, we were saying that in your next life you're going to be a human.
Yeah.
Yeah, because he's had the Maha Mantra.
Yeah, somebody with a long neck,
Yeah.
Thank you. Yeah, you can read Jananda Maharaj's book, Animals in Krishna Consciousness. Many stories for out with animals. The kirtan of these hippies was different from the chanting of Indian brahmanas, but Prabhupada did not mind. His standard was devotion. In his Radha Krishna temple, whatever he accepted, Krishna accepted. This was his offering to Krishna through his spiritual master Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati. Prabhupada was absolutely confident, even if his young devotees did not know how to play the harmonium keyboard or the mridanga, even if they did not know that congregational kirtan should be done not in constant unison, as they were doing, not answering, just constant, but responsively, and even if they did not know how to honor the Guru, still, because they were chanting and dancing, he encouraged them and nodded to them, yes, yes. Of course, the power of the Maha Mantra, the name of God, is also dependent. It can be more or less affecting the soul. And this depends of the devotion of the devotee. So you can see in this assembly there were all young people, hippies, not knowing much or anything about that. But there was one devotee there. Prabhupada was there, and he was chanting in full consciousness of Krishna, loving consciousness of Krishna, and that made the Maha Mantra more authorized. That it gave effect. So this is one, I don't know, everywhere, but in the temple, this is one very nice spiritual responsibility of the devotees. Actually, when we do the program every morning, Mangal Arti, Guru Puja, Kirtan, and all this and Arti like that, the temple, they do that on behalf of all the devotees in the yatra, like that, And when we are in our little house here and there like that, I remember I was, always thinking, Guru Puja is going on in France, Prabhupada, or in New Mayapur, like that, So, and it should be done because it is done in a proper way, standard way. We are inclined in the temple to be a little more conscious, careful. At home, you may be in your cushions like that, Hare Krishna, and the TV is there, or you speak with somebody, or not always, but some are serious. But it's more. But in the temple, at least, we should be a little, or not a little. We should be at more, as much as possible, spiritually aware of Krishna, deity, Krishna. The Maha Mantra is Krishna. And we are in Krishna's house, Krishna's property, and like that, whatever practice of devotion is very much efficient like that for ourselves and for the temple, which is a place for spreading devotional energy. So, even if there is one or two devotees, still, it's authorized and therefore spreading. Very inspiring to be there. If you are even 1, 2, or 3 like that, but you are empowered somehow or other, authorized to be the representative of Krishna consciousness for the whole region. It's authorized. Okay. So Prabhupada, even they did not know anything, still because they were chanting and dancing under his approval, he encouraged them and nodded to them, yes. Wild elements were there, of course, people whose minds and intentions were far away in some chemically induced fantasy. Yet the mood was dominated by Srila Prabhupada followers who danced with arms upraised and watched their leader carefully. So that's also a very interesting point. In the group of chanting, there was Prabhupada giving the authorized vibration of Krishna, God's names. And there were these young followers, hippies, long hair like that. But they knew at least that they respected Prabhupada. They knew he was the devotee of Krishna, and like that they were taken into. And there were, wild guests, drugged completely, or this, they're doing all kinds of things like that. But yet, the mood was dominated by Srila Prabhupada followers. Yes, who dance in arms of praise, watching their leader carefully. So in a temple, it is very important. Temple is meant for different things. It's to bring devotees together so they can practice their Krishna consciousness in a very privileged place. Everything is like Vaikuntha, Prabhupada said here. It's fantastic to have this place to practice Krishna consciousness, especially the temple room, the whole temple, the project like that. And we have Prabhupada, we know we are under his watching devotional eyes, always. Yeah, and then it means also, like New Mayapur, to attract and receive everybody, nice people, crazy people, drugs, whatever, or uneducated, or curious but not interested, all kinds of people. And we do actually receive them, well, but like here, they will not stay long. Like, of course, we cannot, we are kind, but we are not either stupid, because we are responsible. It's not our place. It's Krishna's, it's Prabhupada's place here. So we are responsible to keep it under the eyes of Prabhupada. And in this way, for one time, even while people were coming, but the atmosphere was dominated by the serious devotees looking to Prabhupada, the pure devotee. So we have to be careful to open up New Mayapur to everybody, not to be self-centered only, but also not to be submerged by all kinds of guests who are, it's not their fault, they are like that. But then they take over sometimes the mood, and that's not good. So the temple devotees, they have the responsibility. It's heavy, difficult to maintain the proper atmosphere. Not be submerged by wild guests, some like that. Which is not often the case, but I have seen it sometimes. Although in many ways they were still like hippies, they were those serious ones, Swamiji's disciples, and they wanted to please him and follow his instructions. They wanted to attain Krishna consciousness. That's a devotee. A devotee, whatever he is, Kanishta, Madhyam, or Tamadikari, he is someone who wants to attain Krishna consciousness. Not necessarily who is Krishna conscious. Actually, no devotee thinks that he is Krishna conscious. It's just, I would like to be Krishna conscious. Krishna consciousness is something that we receive. We don't take it. We don't assume it. No. We receive it. For art, Krishna gave me a little glimpse of, ecstasy, anybody. So this is a common consciousness of a devotee. Neophytes practicing realize, I would like to attain Krishna consciousness. Even in the spiritual world, we know, like that. And when you are in this consciousness, I would like to, then you are in a proper platform to receive Krishna and the mercy of Prabhupada and the devotee, like that. If you say, I am okay, then okay, you don't need remain with your Krishna consciousness, so-called Krishna consciousness. But I need Krishna consciousness, and I would like to have some loving feelings, some emotions. I don't have sometimes, or maybe, but I would like to be a loving devotee of God, Krishna. I would like to be a nice servant. I would like to be a pure person without any crazy thoughts going in my mind constantly or sometimes. I would like to, but unfortunately, I am constantly attacked by these crazy materialistic thoughts. I am regularly attacked by some impulse to say or to do or to think something bad. But I still keep on, because my spiritual master and Lord Chaitanya, they told me, yes, do it under our blessings, and surely you will attain it by your endeavor and by your mercy. So this is really nice. So that's encourages us to remain in this mood of begging always, not being, self-satisfied. They wanted to attain Krishna consciousness. For all the varied punctuation of horns and timpani, the kirtan remained sweet. Ayagriva even played his cornet in tune, and only during every other mantra. Srila Prabhupada knew that some aspects of the kirtan were wrong, or below standard, but he accepted the offering, and not awkwardly, but lovingly. He simply wanted these American boys and girls to chant, that they were dressed irregularly, jumped too savagely, or had the wrong philosophy did not over-concern him. These boys and girls were chanting Hare Krishna, so at least for the present, they were pure. The hippies knew that too, and they loved it. Wow, this is far out. Well, it's, we can perceive the truth of these words, that, it was wrong, there was wrong behavior, or at least below standard, but Prabhupada accepted the offering, but not awkwardly, not just, oh yeah, let's dance. No. He was connected with this transcendental sound vibration that these wild people were emitting under the parampara authorized blessings. So therefore, they were pure. Yes. Maybe their ego, intelligence, mind, senses were not pure, but the soul was captivated, even unconsciously, and the chanting was pure and purifying. Under the authorized blessings, mercy of a real devotee, Prabhupada, he was one. Only I was alone, Prabhupada said. I was alone. And alone, he spread the pure chanting, his pure chanting, the parampara pure chanting. Alone, he spread it all over the world. One person, alone. Just as in Janaki's dream, Janaki was one of the first devotees. Srila Prabhupada's pleasure, she was the ex-wife of Mukunda, now Maharaj. Srila Prabhupada's pleasure was to see, just like in Janaki's dream, Srila Prabhupada's pleasure was to see the whole world engaged in kirtan. Some or other, he would say, people should be engaged in Krishna consciousness. And this was the instruction of Lord Chaitanya's chief follower, Rupa Goswami, who had written, Tasmat kenapi upayayena mana Krishna nusriniveshayet. Some or other, fix the mind on Krishna. The rules and regulations come later, but they have better if they come later, become later discipline to practice more and more efficiently. Yeah? But anyway, some or other, at least for the beginning, fix the mind on Krishna. And Prabhupada.
I also knew nothing when I first came to Krishna consciousness.
I also
Knew nothing when I first came to
Yeah, and now you knew very little. But we have a treasure to know again, and we are begging for that. Yeah, we did not understand anything, When I saw Prabhupada, the first devotee I saw was Prabhupada giving a lecture. I was stunned. And when he came out near me, when he came out of the hall, he was just near me. And I was just thrown on the floor on one knee, like in church, like that. I was like that, why did that? It's not me, bowing down in public. No, even in church, you don't feel so. So, we don't understand anything at the beginning. We may think, I understand this or that, which may be true, some little things. Oh, yeah, I'm not the body. Wow, far out. Nice, eternal soul. But, Krishna consciousness is an ocean of transcendental knowledge and experience. So,
first time someone threw water on me, I think, what are you doing?
Krishna. Yeah. So, and Prabhupada, he wanted to see the whole world engaged in kirtan. Again, all his contemporaries of Prabhupada before he came to the West, in this book, Memories, they all said that. Many said that. He was always saying that. This movement has to be spread all over the world. And our spiritual master, Srila Bhakti Siddhanta, he was speaking. His godbrother was saying that. He was always saying, he asked us to, spread it all over the world. And when he was saying that, they were saying he was serious. He wasn't just, okay. He was serious. And he was even saying more intimately to some. And my spiritual master, my guru, he asked me to do this impossible mission, And but he was serious, yes, like that, impossible mission. And you may know this story, but there's one story of a pujari in India, in Bengal, Mayapur. There's a temple of Advaita Acharya, and the pujari there, he came to the temple, the Chandrodaya Mandir, one day during the 80s, and he came. He said, "I want to say something to you, everybody. Yeah. Very important. You may be pleased to know. I have been for many years a pujari at the Advaita Acharya Mandir in Nabadwip nearby, and I used to see a very dignified man, Grihastha, coming regularly, at least once a month. He was coming regularly. He would sit back in the back of the temple, and he was intensely closed-eyed, chanting Hare Krishna, remaining like that, chanting. And sometimes I would see some tears when he would open his eyes. I would see his eyes were moistened. And I was impressed by this man. I didn't want to disturb him. I was impressed. He looked really humble and also very dignified. So after a while, I did not see him so much. And then one day, I saw a saffron-clad sannyas coming. And I recognized my old friend. Oh, he was him. Now he was a sannyas. And he came alone. And he sat down. I let him chant. He was chanting. And I saw, now there was tears in his eyes. And when he finished, after a while, I went to him. I said, my dear friend, dear Maharaj, I'm very pleased to see you. Oh, you have taken sannyas now. And you look very intense. So may I ask what's the reason? Why you are coming like that and why you feel like that? And then Swami Maharaj, Prabhupada, told him, well, I have received, seriously, he said, I have received an impossible task, instruction from my spiritual master. He has asked me to go west and preach in English the message of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, Panchatattva. And I know that here in Sri Advaita Acharya Bhavan temple, that's where Lord Chaitanya, Nityananda, and Advaita Acharya, they would meet here and discuss the spreading of this Krishna consciousness movement, Pritivite, Yateyacha, Nagaradigram, all over the world. Therefore, to get their mercy, to follow and accomplish this impossible mission of my spiritual master, I come here to get their blessing and inspiration. And then the Pujari said, and then I never saw him for many years, He never came back. So I didn't know. And then one day, I saw a few American Western dressed with dhotis and everything coming here. I was surprised. And one of them gave me a Back to Godhead magazine. And then I looked, and I saw that was he. Wow, he did it. Yeah. So he came like that to say that to the devotee. Wow, nice story, huh? Yeah. Very, feel emotion. It's natural. It's, okay. So Prabhupada, he took it seriously. He wanted all over the world. Inherent in this attitude of Srila Prabhupada and Srila Rupa Goswamis was a strong conviction about the purifying force of the holy name. Strong conviction of the purifying force of the holy name. That's what we all got from Srila Prabhupada and our spiritual masters. Strong conviction and enthusiasm that the holy name, the transcendental sound vibration, which is not different from the person Krishna, is a strong purifying force and very quickly, according to the big impurities we have, very quickly things are going away. Cheto, Dharpana, Marjana, and we have to be conscious and appreciative of that. Just like when a drop is falling, you don't see the effects, But if you come back after a few years or a few centuries, it's a big hole, big effect. So the effect of chanting Hare Krishna is very strongly purifying, and we should see it. Either like even during one day, or when I chant my rounds nicely in the early morning, I see the day is different, strongly purifying. But after some, 1 year of chanting, or 10 years, or 50 years like that, you look back and I don't feel so much when I chant Krishna. But when I look myself back, 10 years ago, or 1 year, or that makes some effect. I've changed. Transformation, not just information. Today you can have so many informations, everything. You can have even informations about what's going on in the spiritual world, dancing like that. Of course, it's all fake. It's all IA or AI. I don't know what to call that. And it's it touches your mind, okay, and it goes through your mind and goes away next minute, but it doesn't touch your soul much, But when you hear the transcendental sound vibration, coming out of the voice of the devotee, that's different. Hare Krishna. I wanted to say that. Okay, very purifying. Yes, if engaged in chanting Hare Krishna, even the most fallen person could gradually become a saintly devotee. Every sinner can be a saint. Every saint has been a sinner. So, good. Okay. Srila Prabhupada would often quote a verse from Srimad Bhagavatam, affirming that person addicted to sinful acts could be purified by taking shelter of the devotees of the Lord. The devotee of the Lord is someone who is chanting Hare Krishna. Also, testimonies of his contemporaries, Prabhupada, they would say, Abai Babu and later Swami, he was always chanting the Hare Krishna. Always, constantly chanting Hare Krishna. And he was in Grihastha, he was chanting his 64 rounds. And he was with us, and he was always chanting Hare Krishna, loudly or inaudibly. He was chanting. He knew that every Haight-Ashbury hippie was eligible to receive the mercy of the holy name, and he saw it as his duty to his spiritual master to distribute the gift of Krishna consciousness freely, rejecting no one. Yet, while living amongst his mechas, he required a certain standard of behavior, and he was adamant about preserving the purity of his Krishna consciousness society. For example, if he were going to distribute free food to the public, it could not be ordinary food, but must be prasad, food offered to Krishna. Feeding hungry people was futile unless they were given prasadam, food for life qui. C'est toi qui fais l'offrande? Oui? Ou c'est un autre dévot aussi? Ok. Right. So c'est du prasad, hein? Okay. Right. Food. And the chance of liberation from birth and death were right. And also in the kirtan, he allowed openness and free expression, and welcomed the widest participation. The transcendental sound of the holy name had to dominate. He never allowed the kirtan to degenerate into mere beating on drums or chanting of any old words, nor could anyone in the group become so crazy that others would not be able to hear or take part in congregational chanting. That's very important, huh? So we spoke about that a little before, greeting everybody, but not letting the devotees submerged by a wild mood or apasiddhanta mood. Devotees chanting, holy name, chanting sincerely has to be maintained mainly, even if some we let other people come, first time. And speaking, same thing. We can have discussions, free with newcomers like that, but we should keep the Siddhanta, no make compromise. Here is a place where we worship God, God. And God is a person, and Krishna is the supreme personality of Godhead. This is what we're doing here. We're not fanatics. We don't impose that on people, but they should be informed. Not that, if we don't, then later on, we become submerged with all kinds of things like that, And if we say it in a nice feeling, just information, and you are welcome. You don't believe in God, great, okay. I mean, you're atheist. It's a good way to start, and whatever. But here we are worshiping God. You are free to participate or not, please, like that. And then the Siddhanta is maintained here like that, and everybody felt comfortable. Even the guests who are not into Krishna consciousness, they know what they are in, and they are free to participate or not, but they respect. Prabhupada was adamant, respect that. Oh, it's time? Yes? Any other comments or question?
Is it a Golden Gate Park?
No, it is in the temple.
The temple?
Yes, in San Francisco Temple, Heritage-Bury.
I mentioned Lord Chaitanya. There's a film being released this year.
What?
There's a film being released this year about Lord Chaitanya.
Yes.
Yeah, you heard about it?
I heard about something like that,
I've seen a couple of excerpts.
Yeah.
Quite interested.
Yes. But movies, so many movies.
can bring it to a wider audience.
Yeah. Prabhupada was not so enthusiastic about movies, at least at the beginning, because he wanted to stress first, the chanting of Hare Krishna and play theater, but play by devotees in a pure consciousness, to make, devotional imprint on others, not just funny or joyful or this or that or no. So when devotee wanted to make a cinema about Krishna, said like that. Don't say no, of course, if it is done properly and not overcome the chanting of Hare Krishna.
Yeah, and curious.
Yeah. Well, it's natural to be a little curious, difficult to resist, and all these movies now everywhere like that. But curiosity is okay, but attachment should be to chanting Hare Krishna and hearing Hare Krishna. Yeah, that's Lord Chaitanya's movies. It's not the first one. No, you saw probably the first movie of Lord Chaitanya during the I don't know 1950 or something like that, black and white one. You saw it, Prabhu? Yeah, I mean you can see that it's a movie, okay, but there is some feeling, really, And even today, even with this you can convey some feelings, but what? But no, but the difficulty, I would say, is that the external is so pregnant, is so there, that you can easily be carried away on the mental platform with these things and forget the transcendental emotion that it may bring. Just like the movie, I guess the same team maybe who did the Nishinga Avatar movie. And it's quite, Huh?
That movie is good?
Well, I don't say it's good or not. I just say it's very, impressive. You just look and wow, and you come out, wow, far out. So that's your mind has been, eyes and mind has been, boom, like that, But if you can receive something also from the Srimad Bhagavatam, that's not bad. So let's see, Lord Chaitanya. Any other comments? Oh. Okay. Thank you very much. Hare Krishna. Jai Shri Prabhupada. Jai. Jai. Go back, Savindak. Jai. Jai Shri Prabhupada. Thank you.